Welcome back to the Zero Weakness Podcast, where we talk about how to be a better lifter, how to be a better coach, and everything in between. Make sure you subscribe and enjoy.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Zero Weakness Podcast. As always, our podcast is sponsored by the lovely people at Establishment Coffee. So for 25% off your order and free shipping, head to establishmentcoffee.com.au and use the code 025. Hey fam, how are we?
Good.
Great. Really good.
All the W's.
Do you know what's all the W's?
Do you know what's annoying? Establishment being closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for like a month and a half.
I know.
That's the worst. I have to go and drive and get a coffee.
Yeah.
Well, Bridget's been bringing me one. Thanks, Bridget.
Bridget wanted me one the other day. Thanks, Bridget.
Yeah, that's all right.
How good.
Almost had a heart attack because I drank it.
I almost had a heart attack today. She brought one. I've already had 2 coffees.
Yeah, I've got anxiety now because I had one this morning.
Oh, God.
Not today. Not today, anxiety. All right, just start off. We're going to start off with what we're grateful for. CJ, what are you grateful for, brother?
It sounds terrible. So I'm grateful for meat because at the moment,
Your meat?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
specifically my own. No, like edible meat.
Murderer.
But yes. Oh, jeez.
Okay.
At the moment, our church at the start of every year, we do 10 days of prayer and fasting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 2 different types of fasts you can do. You can do like a water fast, where it's just water for 10 days, or what's called the Daniel fast. Daniel's a guy in the Bible. He did a fast where it was like extreme vegan. It was pretty much like just raw foods and fruits.
Do you have to
And
do
grains.
it with or without lions?
Yeah, after getting thrown in the den. Yeah, so I'm halfway through the Daniel fast right now, and I really miss meat and the sugar withdrawals and
Wait, so which one are you doing?
Daniel, not water
Okay.
fast.
Vegan
Daniel.
Wait, the sugar withdrawals.
Well, yeah, like there's so you realize how much sugar is in our foods, and then now I can't have any.
Wait,
Wait,
can't you eat
but-
fruit?
Yeah, I've been smashing it but I'm like, it's still
Wait, how are you getting sugar withdrawals if you're doing a meat fast?
no. It's like it's a Daniel fast, so it's like extreme vegan. It's sort of like there's still fruits, so it's just raw foods, raw veggies, raw fruits, and whole grains. So like no caffeine, no sweeteners, no. Did I say caffeine? Yeah, no meat. Like it's like pretty much like a more vegan. That
Right.
makes sense.
How many days have you got to go?
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're halfway.
Are you feeling good or bad? Be honest. Bad. Okay.
Yeah, bad. Bad and good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever do the 40-hour famine?
Yeah, I used
That
to
was
do
the
it
best.
all the time when I was a kid. Every year.
I just really liked barley sugars.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Smash the barley sugars.
And cups of tea. I was allowed to have cups of tea.
Did you ever do in New Zealand, there's a juice brand called Just Juice. So like we never had Just Juice or lollies in the house. So when we did the 40-hour famine, it was just like heaven because it was just non-stop Just Juice and barley sugars. Did any of you ever do like the alternative 40-hour famines? Like the ones
No,
where you
what's
get in
that?
a cardboard box
yeah,
or whatever?
yeah. That's what me and all my mates did. It was mad.
Oh, no.
No, what's that one?
So instead of fasting for 40 hours, you like, I don't want to sound ignorant, but you live like a...
Yeah, you pretty much live in poverty. So
Yeah.
you make a little house out of cardboard boxes or whatever, and
Yeah,
that's where you have
wow.
to sleep and be for 40 hours. I think you just sleep there because we're going to school.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you get all the modern conveniences
You get to
except
drive
for
to
bed.
school. Yeah.
We used to do this one at school where they'd only let us have like one bowl of rice at lunch, and that was it. That was sort of like a famine thing that we had to do as well. It was
Wait,
like
was
2
that
days.
just like corporal punishment in the
I'm not
country?
sure. I can't remember what that one was, but yeah, we're allowed one bowl of rice for the whole day.
See, I'm
That was
set.
it.
I'm set if
Yeah.
that was the case. Oh, for the whole day?
Yeah,
No,
for the whole
okay.
day. Yeah.
Not on my watch.
Oh, it's so bland. Food's
I
just
like
so
plain
bland.
rice.
Yeah, plain rice is the best.
Plain rice and plain pasta.
Are you allowed to put salt on your vegetables?
Yeah. So I've been salting everything.
Are you actually allowed, or is this just like a grey area where you're like...
No, yeah, you can salt. No sweeteners though. So no honey, no sugar,
What about raw
no
honey?
caffeine. Nah, nothing. It's so.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Then yeah.
The bro Daniel.
sweetness. The bro Daniel's dogging us pretty bad. Well, I mean, it's a far. So yeah, it's just like there's times where I'm eating and I'm like trying not to gag because it's just so bland. I'm like, this is medicine. I'm gonna eat it. Yeah, it's yeah. As a lot of the boys that I'm lucky because I don't really drink much coffee, but some of the boys from church are like having horrible like headaches from like, you know,
Caffeine withdrawals.
yeah, real bad caffeine withdrawals.
You boys are out there doing it tough.
Yeah, there's a few that are on the water fast. I've done it 1 year. That was the worst.
Wait, no water for 10 days.
No.
No food for 10 days.
Just water for 10 days.
For 10
Just water.
days?
Yeah,
Have you done that?
yeah.
That's hectic.
Yeah, I lost 1 kilo a day. So I was like 10 kilos in a day.
I'd be dead.
Yeah. Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would be. You would be. Yeah. That was probably the worst thing I've ever done. Yeah.
Because don't you die? Do you die after 3 weeks with no food? Is that it? 3 weeks.
No. You can pretty much go indefinitely. Not indefinitely, but you last a lot longer than what you think.
Yeah.
Water's 3 days.
Yeah.
Water's
Air is,
3 days.
that's what I thought. Air was 3 minutes. Water's 3 days. Food was 3 weeks.
You last a lot longer without all of those things.
Yeah.
Like people can hold their breath for longer than 3
Yeah.
minutes, and people have lived 7, 8, 9 days without water.
I remember
Really?
watching a documentary about a guy who was lost in the desert for 8 days.
Yeah, they come
Yeah.
back real messed up, like their skin's all black.
Mm.
It's quite strange, yeah.
Just before we get on with the rest of our gratefuls, I just you mentioned the weight. So little Geordie, who I coach, when I
Yeah.
first started coaching him, he weighed 50 kilos exactly. And he goes to me just before, bro, I'm about 70 kilos now. And I was like, you're all shit. And I made him go stand on the scales. And he was 68 kilos.
Wow.
He's gotten real tall, and
Yeah.
he's filled out a lot.
Yeah.
He's
Shot up
gained
heaps.
18 kilos since he
Yeah.
started training here. Obviously, that's a lot to do with puberty, but I couldn't believe it. I was like, fuck, you're actually getting big.
Mm.
Yeah.
He was a little kid when you started.
Yeah.
training.
he was so
Yeah.
little.
He was way shorter than me. Now he's taller than me. Tom, bro, what are you grateful for?
What am I grateful for today? I'm doing a CJ.
Oh, gosh. You got to drop a gosh.
Oh gosh.
Wasn't ready for this.
I'm
I've done that once. And now I get this all the time.
I'm grateful for YouTube. Grateful for YouTube. Like, pretty crazy to think 10 or 15 years ago, you couldn't just have access to whatever information you wanted that quickly. Like, I digest a lot of stuff from YouTube, and thanks, YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube's the
That's
goat.
great.
Bridget, what are you grateful for?
Just that it's Friday. I've been loving my weekends lately. The weather's been really good, and I've been spending a lot more time outdoors. So I'm really excited for that again this week. Going to be at the
Nice.
beach a lot. Yeah.
Let's go. Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Hopefully it doesn't storm. It's looking pretty
Yeah.
stormy.
Yeah. We'll see.
I'm grateful for my health. I've been sick the last 3 days. I've had vertigo
The worst.
and
thing.
nauseous. And me and my brother used to roast my mum for it. Because she used to always complain about vertigo and would stop her from doing everything. And I've realized that's the first time I've had it. Well, I think that's the first time I've had it. Someone's screaming.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
That might be Sailor, the new kid.
Can you just
I'm going to look on the cameras while
just
you keep talking.
and Bridget, can you just go make sure they've signed a waiver?
Do you actually want me to jump up and
No,
check
no,
that?
no. I don't think it was
Check on who it is.
a serious scream. Keep going. Vertigo.
Yeah, vertigo. So that fucked me up the last 3 days, but I'm back. I'm back and I'm better. So if this podcast is a little bit all over the show, we planned it in about 2 minutes because your boy's flat out. Yeah. CJ, you're gonna have to do a lot. You're gonna have to do a lot of edits in this podcast.
Nah. I leave it. I like it leaving it
It's
pretty
good.
raw.
It's natural.
We're not used to doing it this late. We're all a little bit flat.
Yeah.
Well, CJ hasn't eaten in 6 months.
5 days.
We've all been working nonstop and just tired.
Oh man.
All right, what's our quote?
All right.
You reckon you got a cracker?
Yeah, I've got a cracker.
Hit me.
Just pretend I'm a hustler because I'm not really a hustler.
Nice.
No matter what side you flip the sandwich, the bread always comes first. You like that one?
It took me way too long to get that.
That's good though, eh?
It's
good. Bread always comes out on top.
Yeah.
Well, mine
that's
goes.
right.
Mine goes perfectly after that because mine's the opposite. Mine is time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time at all, and that's I was gonna say because everyone's obsessed with the grind that they feel so bad every time they relax and do nothing, but it's okay to do that sometimes.
I feel that. I feel
Yeah.
that. You're right, actually, because this is the first time I've actually wanted to train after being sick since the race, since that shitty powerlifting comp I did, and the race. So it's the first time I wanted to train. So I'm grateful.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that one, Bridget. What's your CJ?
Sometimes when you lose a battle, you find a new way to win the war.
Ooh.
CJ's plotting how he's going to win his next novice comp.
I was saying he's plotting what his next proper meal is. It's like, I can beat these vegetables. I can beat them.
Is there watermelon at home? Oh my gosh.
On that, I lost it at your post. Ask the novice. I'm going to have to pass this to the novice pros.
The pros. No,
Who was it? CJ, Raven, Steve, and there was one more, wasn't
Alex
it?
Evans.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be a good battle,
Yeah.
the novice pros,
Yeah.
because they've all been around the block. They've all done a few comps.
Yep.
Been around the block.
Yep. That I'd be curious to see their dot scores because I reckon that'll all be pretty close.
Ooh, I reckon at the moment Raven would come out on top. Raven or Wang.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. CJ might squat 300 his next novice comp.
Yeah.
Well, you're not doing another novice comp, CJ.
Yeah, they won't. I'm plotting how to get into a novice comp without them
gonna
finding out.
No, we'll run a novice invitational.
He's going to sign up as Carl James
That's
so we don't
actually
know
a
who it
great
is.
idea.
Best of the best novices.
Novice invitational.
Where did you get that quote from?
I don't know. I have like I have a cheat sheet in my notes on my phone. Whenever I hear a good quote, I just write it into that. So I've got like a list of cool quotes. So I don't remember where I got that one from.
And what inspired you to go for it today?
I don't know. I was just scrolling through it and
The Zero Classic coming up inspired him.
Zero Classic, yeah. No, I was just scrolling through and I was like, I like that one. I forgot I got that one down. That was it, really. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Hang on, I forgot mine. Mine is opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sitting on that continuum between having experience and knowing, but also knowing nothing and just making something up.
I like that.
Because everything everyone says is an opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes you read someone's opinion and you're like, you're wrong. It's like, it's not wrong or right. It's just an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what's weird? I always think about that.
But your opinion's wrong.
That's the weird thing about our industry. Everything's opinion based.
Everything's opinion.
Everything's an opinion, and then people just start arguing on the internet over their own opinions.
Yeah.
People like, even like the people that are like, "Oh, you're so dogmatic in your approach." It's like, well, you're just as dogmatic, but in your own way. Everybody's got their own opinions, and I saw you posting about it the other day, Thomas, about being in an echo chamber, and we're all kind of stuck in our own echo chambers, which bias our own, which confirms our own biases.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know about you, but on my Instagram page, anybody's training stuff, I try not to do this. Well, I try not to follow that much training pages and stuff. But you just unfollow a page that you think has a dumb opinion just because it doesn't align with your own. And it's like, wait, that's just an opinion at the end of the day. And all our opinions are based on, well, I don't know about us, but about you guys, but for us with programming, obviously we use the Zero method, Thomas Lilley, which you taught us all. But, you know, we get results that way. So our opinions are, how do I say this? Our opinions are results driven, like principle driven, and we get results.
Sure.
But we can, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but we can all be, I don't know where the fuck I'm going with this.
Well, I mean, like if I was to pick up where you left off, it's kind of like, well, you can get results in multiple different ways. And it doesn't necessarily mean that anybody's right or wrong. It's just like your opinion is based on what you've experienced. Yeah.
Yeah, because even when we had Will on the podcast, the stuff that you guys were saying, like programs that you guys were doing back in the day that you'd never program today, but it still worked. Like you guys still got stronger. Like I think you said, like everything and nothing works.
What I think is really funny is like the straw man arguments that people set up to say their opinion. So like a straw man argument is where you set up an argument that you're automatically going to win. So like you can say, it's very common for people to only train 3 days a week, but this split is much better. Even so, when you say it's very common for people to train 3 days a week, it doesn't matter if that's true or not. It's like it just automatically makes the next thing that you say right. And people do that in this industry all the time. It's just like, this is the thing, or this is what people do, and this is what we do, and this is why it's better, even if that thing that people do doesn't exist. And people do it with like really outplayed stereotypes. It's like, it's really common for powerlifters to not care about their nutrition. What? No, it's not. Like it's super common these days for powerlifters to be super mindful about their nutrition. Like the get fat powerlifter stage was literally in the 2000s. It's like 20 years ago, but people will still like carry that and then make it fact and then make content out of it. It's really interesting to watch. All the tip for everyone, when you read something, just ask yourself, does it feel true? Like, have you actually seen that? Or are you just believing them because their post sounds good?
Yeah, like I've always said a million times, dickheads get results as well. No, not dickheads. Idiots get results too. Like the bro that goes to the gym, doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, but he trains really hard at really high intensities. You know, he's going to get results as well.
I like how you've said it a million times. It's the first time I've heard it.
I think I always say idiots get results
I've heard it before.
Yeah. Maybe I say it to my clients when they ask about why someone's so strong. Why is this bodybuilder so strong? I'm like, oh, dickheads get results too.
Nice.
But
All right, Fonz floated the podcast topic for today.
Fonz, Uncle Fonz.
yeah, I asked Bridget I said, Bridget, organise this podcast. And she asked Fonz, and Fonz came up with a really good thing.
How's that for delegation? James's project is the podcast. He pumps it off to Bridget, and Bridget pumps it off to someone who's not even in the podcast.
I want to know what the listeners want to hear about.
Well, can I defend myself?
Don't play the sick card.
I've been sick for 3. Thomas expects me to be lying in bed with vertigo, thinking, "Fuck, what are we going to talk about on the potty this week?"
Zero's a 24/7 enterprise. Baby.
Oh, but
Weren't you the one just talking about bread on the table or whatever?
yeah, but not when I'm sick. Not when my
Bread
head's
on the
spinning.
table.
Yeah.
No, you're too nauseous to eat, so bread doesn't count. Then.
Everybody's not
It's
a,
the
not a
only
hustler.
time I don't want bread.
CJ, are you allowed to eat bread at the moment?
No.
Oh, that's sad.
You knew that. You're just taunting
no,
her.
I wasn't sure if he was allowed to have
No.
bread.
Bread's not a vegetable.
All right, but local
Wait,
legend.
hang on. I just thought of a hack.
What?
You know how it's real trendy these days on like Instagram and TikTok for people to make everything into a cake? It'll be like, oh, a printer, and they cut it in half and it's a cake. There you go.
I'll eat a printer.
Yeah, no, you can eat
Make-
fruit, but they
yeah.
don't need to know that it's cake.
Oh,
I suppose God will know.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's always watching. No, he's still on annual leave, isn't he?
No, he's back.
Oh, is he back?
He's back.
Wait,
First
when
week
did
of the
you?
year.
Oh,
2
did you-
weeks.
Oh, so God's been back.
Yeah, God's been
He's
back.
back on the books, back on the tools. 2023 loading. Oh yeah, so Fonz, local legend and OG here. He's floated the question out. Equipped lifting, how do you get into it?
With great difficulty. The suits are tight. You normally need about 6 people to shove you into one.
Nah, but in all seriousness, we've got I don't want to say equipped lifting's on the rise, but I feel like I've seen a few equipped lifters floating around lately.
Who are you looking at?
I think just you and Fonz. But that's enough to make a... There was one time where you guys were both lifting equipped. I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Okay, so you picked the 2 oldest, brokenest guys in the gym.
Equipped's on the rise. Nah, but in all seriousness, how do you get into it, Thomas?
Well, it's funny because like equipped, when I started powerlifting, there was no such thing as raw. Like equipped was the only option. So my first comp, I didn't do equipped because I didn't know what equipped was. I just knew powerlifting. So I went raw, and people were wearing these like weird ass looking shirts and strange looking suits. And I was like, what is going on here? And I didn't actually know what equipped was for ages after that. So back then it was kind of easy to get into it, or easier to get into it if you found yourself in the powerlifting circle, because everyone had a suit. And so like the general pathway for most people to try it, like you've tried equipped, you wouldn't go, I want to try equipped, and then go out and buy a shirt, because a shirt's going to cost you several $100s. You don't know how to put it on. You don't know how it fits. You don't know anything about it, how it's going to feel. Most people get into it by being grandfathered in by someone saying, I have a suit that's probably going to fit you. Try it on. And that's it. It's so it is actually, there's quite a high barrier to entry for it, because not a lot of people have suits laying around. There's a lot of gyms or gym owners I know who have gyms like this that have, like, we've got a box up there that's just full of different size suits of various kinds and shirts of various kinds. There's a lot of people like me out there around the country who have that. But outside of that, it's pretty hard to get into.
It's weird to think. I don't know if CJ and Bridget know this, but raw powerlifting is not even 10 years old.
Well, that was going to be my next question. When did it start to take off? And
Well,
how?
it's just over 10 years old now.
Oh,
Yeah,
just over 10
wow.
now.
2012 is kind of like when there was meats before that were raw, but most people consider the IPF taking on raw powerlifting as the beginning of raw, which
So-
is 2011-12.
Yeah, that's when I'm thinking. Oh, I thought it was late. I thought it was 2014.
No,
No.
11-12.
Yeah, right.
That is wild.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's
isn't
really
it?
odd to think.
I've always thought it was the other way around, where like people started bringing in suits and shirts to assist.
yeah.
I thought, because how does it start then? How does powerlifting start?
Well, it's obviously it's helped facilitate the growth, like obviously immensely, because the barrier to entry when it was equipped was very high.
Yeah, the barrier to entry was high, and just powerlifting sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Like there had been massive disintegration of the sport because of the split in Australia. I'm talking because of the split with the IPF stuff, and then there was a big turnover of presidents going on in the non-IPF federation for a long time, and people were getting pissed off, and the quality was decreasing. And then Marcus, who runs Pro Raw, he really sort of revived powerlifting by bringing GPC to Australia. And so that added another layer of competition for federations, and then the other federations started pushing a bit more, and so powerlifting kind of grew together. And PTC gyms were a big part of that because there was a rapid growth of PTC gyms around the country, and we were all doing novice comps, and that was bringing new people into the sport. So combination of lots of things.
So when you first started your own, so the first gym that you had, PTC Gold Coast, was that still in the equipped era?
No.
No.
No. So that was 2012. Raw had started. Like I had competed at Raw States and Nationals that year.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, no. Raw was taking off.
Okay.
So taking off just in Australia or worldwide?
Worldwide.
Yeah,
Worldwide,
wow. Only 10 years.
Fuck, that's
Isn't
wild
it
to me.
crazy?
Because all the big powerlifters that got me into this sport or found through the sport, all are raw lifters. I think about like Russell Orhe, Steffi Cohen, like they're not equipped lifters.
Mm.
Yeah,
Russell
that's
Orhe's
wild.
still very new to the sport as well. He's only been competing since 2015 or 2016. Yeah, because he got me into powerlifting. He was one of my first inspirations.
Well, man, think as well, like the powerlifters that you know and that got you into the sport, younger people that are familiar with technology and social media. You know, like the dinosaurs that were doing equipped before that are still doing it or are still in powerlifting. They've probably changed to raw or changed to raw along the way. They're probably not that active on social media.
Mm.
So like with like one crew that's really well known in the powerlifting world is obviously Westside.
Yeah.
So obviously I don't want to sound ignorant again, but did they not really like evolve with the times? Because like you still see Westside stuff and it's all still equipped. I don't want to say evolved because it's still a different sport in my opinion, equipped versus raw, but everything is still very equipped. And
Yeah.
whenever you see people competing that are a part of Westside, they all still compete equipped.
Yeah, I think that just kind of like goes with the territory, like because they branched off and really got involved with SPF, and I think they got involved with SPF. I can't remember, but they were known for like multiply stuff because multiply is relatively new. Multiply was only sort of coming into play around the time that Raw was coming into play, maybe a little bit before that as well, and they just built that as like their brand, I guess. You know, like there's a lot of their lifters that have done a lot of raw meats and are famous for doing raw stuff. But it's just kind of been a label attached to them. I don't think Westside and equipped lifting necessarily go hand in hand though.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what powerlifting was called before it was called powerlifting?
Odd lifts.
Yeah.
What was it called?
What?
Odd lifts.
Odd lifts.
Odd lifts.
Could you imagine saying that today in 2023? What do you do? Oh, I'm an odd lifter.
I can't actually remember.
What?
It was like overhead press, strict curl. I don't actually know what it started as. I've read it a million times, but I can't remember the exact like progression.
Because I've been going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, looking at all the eras of lifting. So, you know, going back to looking at exercises from like the bronze era, you know, like the golden era, Is it called I don't think it's called the Silver Era.
I have no idea what you're talking about, to be honest.
Oh, really? So I've gone down a little rabbit hole and seeing like what exercises people did in this time. And, you know, like it's all trending at the moment. We're going to talk about it later in the podcast, but like the Zercher squats, how people used to back squat in the day without actually a rack. I can't remember the name of it. I should have done a little bit more research on this, but I didn't know we're talking about it. But it's pretty interesting. Like if you want to go down a rabbit hole, type in like Bronze Era lifting, odd lifts, Bronze Era odd lifts, or like Golden Era lifting, whatever. Because you know we all talk about Golden Era bodybuilding, which is like, you know, 70s, 80s. I don't even, would you say the 60s? Nah.
No.
Nah, okay. So 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously the Silver Era is I think before then, and the Bronze Era is before then. I could be completely wrong with that, but
yeah, no idea. No, it's exactly like you say though. Almost everything that becomes cool and that seems new is probably really old. Has probably been done before and done to death.
So you're getting back into equipped lifting.
I'm doing equipped lifting out of necessity is probably a better way of saying it. I'm doing equipped lifting because my hips are, as the Spanish would say, el cucto.
How's your journey back into the equipment?
Horrible.
Horrible?
Nah, it's nice. Like I was saying to Stenzel the other day, it has been so many years since I've been able to train mindlessly, like as in put a bar on my back with a whole bunch of weight and do a set of squats and not be like, is my hip going to hurt? Am I loading into that side? Is something going wrong with my body? Because like once you've got something chronic happening, it's pretty hard to ignore it. You get good at ignoring it, but you never truly ignore it. So like putting on the suit and being able to perform the way I used to be able to perform feels really good. I'm really struggling with bench. Really struggling. I've never had new equipment in my life. Like all the equipment that I've ever used has always been hand-me-down. And I'm just going to say it again because I say it all the time, but I'm not an equipped guy. Like people have seen me do 2 equipped comps and they're like, oh, you're that equipped guy. You do equipped. No, I'm not the equipped guy. I don't actually know that much about it. Like I know a lot, but I'm not the equipped guy. So I've never used a new shirt or a new suit, and I got a new suit and I got a new shirt, and the shirt is punishing me. So I haven't been nervous about like my ability to do a bench in this shirt, but as each week goes past, I'm getting a little bit more nervous.
Bro,
like as in being able to touch the chest.
I've watched you chuck on, you know, oh yeah, surely another 100 kilos he's going to be able to touch his chest. I'm like, nah, his elbow's bent. The bar moved about 3 centimeters. I'm like, how do you keep going from there? Like, what's your next move? Because I've seen you try, was it 220, 240?
Yeah, I don't know. I did 220 for a triple and a double
for an elbow bend
on Saturday with Jamie in Brisbane, and that moved the furthest that shirt's moved. So I think it's starting to wear in. So it was a third of a bench rather than a quarter. I think it's starting to wear in, but I also panic bought a shirt from Europe, so like a slightly bigger size.
You might have to do what I said. I spoke about on the podcast previously. You might be one of those guys. I'm like, how come some people open raw? Because I suck at equipped.
I've got old shirts in there that I can put on.
Yeah,
I just won't be as strong.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I've got a few questions about equipped.
Hit me.
Does equipped carry over into raw lifting?
This is a great question. I'm really glad you asked it. Because this can be the same for so many things. Like, does this carry over into that? As in the same thing. Do knee wraps carry over into sleeves? All that sort of stuff. I think it wouldn't be right to say yes, it carries over in the sense of strength. I don't think necessarily that doing equipped lifting is going to make you raw stronger. Like you get strong at what you're doing because there's a skill aspect to it. But I think there are a lot of attributes that carry over. So equipped makes you really good at understanding tightness and control. It makes you have to be hyper aware of technique. Because so the way that equipment works is you think about what we teach with Zero in terms of the technique and the rules and everything. It's all like getting into positions of tightness and control, and wavering from those positions means power leaking. The suits try to put you into the worst positions possible. And when you fight that, you create like torque in the suit, and that's what makes the stuff pop. So it makes you have to be good at technique. So like, you know how everyone sucks at equipped deadlifting?
Mm-hmm.
It's just because they suck technically at deadlifts. So deadlifts are the hardest with equipped because in a squat, you're standing up so you can load down into the suit with the weight and control it. With a deadlift, you have to do that with your own strength. Like you have to tighten your back against the suit telling you to be as rounded as possible. So if you've got good technique and you can fight the suit, you get a shitload out of a deadlift suit.
Yeah, right. So a deadlift suit, I've seen some people just put a squat suit on backwards.
Yeah.
Is there deadlift suits as well, or?
Yeah. So I was talking to CJ about this the other day. I've never actually worn a deadlift suit until Fonz, shout out Fonz, gave me one, or lent me one for that comp the other week, and he said I can borrow it up to this next comp. And as far as I know, deadlift suits are based on a squat suit worn backwards.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so every comp before this, the 2 comps before this, I've just worn a deadlift suit, a squat suit backwards for deadlifts.
Any noticeable differences with a proper deadlift suit? No.
Still sucks. It's just so tight and horrible. Like deadlifts, I'd say bench is the hardest. Deadlifts are also very hard though, because it's just like in the squat and the bench, as you're going down, you feel the pressure building in your head and in your body, and it builds up and it builds up and builds up, and it sucks. Feels so bad, but you get to ease into it, and you've already got the weight. Whereas in a deadlift, you have no weight, and you're grabbing the bar, and then you're building all this tension. By the time you get to the bottom, you don't feel like lifting anymore. You feel like dying. So it's an interesting experience.
So once you've got a squat suit on, like, you know, obviously we've got a lot of people here that compete in reps, and you can't wait to take the reps off.
Mm.
What's it like wearing reps and a squat suit? Surely that's fucking hell on earth.
Yeah, it's not nice. The worst thing is when you need to pee.
Mm-hmm.
Because once it's on, it's on. Like, it's not coming off. And you guys
true.
already know I go to the toilet every 25 seconds. So really got to plan for it.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, Ed Cohen tells the story of how he shat himself on the first rep of a set of 5. And like, because of the pressure in the suit, it like shot up his back. And then he finished the set because he's like, well, I shit myself. They're like, why don't you stop? It's like, what's the point of stopping? It's already happened. I can't unshit myself. So he just kept going.
That's hectic.
Wow.
Up his back.
Yeah. I'd hate to be the back spotter on that one.
Oh my gosh.
Also,
Yeah, but no, and like, I actually, have you done a squat suit? You've done a bench shirt.
only bench shirt.
You know what it's like. Like, what, bench shirts are definitely the most uncomfortable of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get this really numb hand. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's always because my bench shirts are too tight for me or my arms just massive. I don't know. But they seem to like affect circulation a lot more than my squat suit ever does.
Well, that's what I know you're joking about this, but that's what I was going to say. When me, you, and Ricky did Equipped, you guys both have very big arms. I don't have big arms. I was obviously wearing a way looser shirt,
Yeah.
but I felt like it was so much looser around my arms than you guys.
Mm. And you were wearing a baby shirt as well. Like,
Yeah.
as in,
Thought he was trying to say baby size. I'm
No.
not that small, brother.
no, like an intro shirt.
Yeah, okay.
It's a bit nicer, and they're a little bit more like flexible.
But that was still a nightmare. Like,
But
I could
you,
still...
you lose your knuckles.
Yeah.
Your hands swell up and you lose it. It's just a horrible feeling.
I just remember watching you tear your hands up trying to take off Ricky's shirt. Because he's got... He had big arms as well.
Yeah.
Big arms, big chest. So he's just... I honestly thought we were going to have to cut it off.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because Thomas has ripped all his fingers trying to take the shirt off, and I couldn't do it. I'm too weak. Thomas would be the only one that would be able to try to get that off.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Jeez.
Because it's like a ring, right? You know, when you put a ring on and it gets stuck, your finger swells up, right? I was talking to Stenzel the other day. He started in powerlifting in multiply. Like, he didn't start raw, he started multiply. Because he started younger than me. We're the same age, and he started 2 years before me. And that gym where he started was all just multiply. So he started in multiply, and he had a bunch of suits and equipped experience. And when someone at PTC Brisbane back in the day was getting into equipped, he put him in one of his suits. They got stuck. They had to cut him out.
Oh,
Like, it was hours trying to get him out, and it was getting to the point where it's like, if you don't get out of this, you're actually going to do damage from a lack of circulation. So I had to get scissors and cut him out. And the suits are like $400. They're not cheap.
Oh.
yeah.
And so just before I forget what I was about to say, coaching equipped lifters, because I've seen that you coach a few equipped lifters.
Yeah, I just finished up with Daniel Edwards. Got to give that guy a shout out because we started working together. We were doing raw and equipped, like on and off. And then he had this goal last year where he really wanted to squat 400 in 2022. And the plan was to do it at the end of the year, and things were going well. And then he had a holiday planned, and he's like, I want to do it before my holiday. And that was in like June. So we did this run, we did this peak with the plan to squat 400 before June. And in his last heavy session before the test week, he tore his hamstring unracking the bar. Like he unracked the bar, and he was using a mono. When they pulled on the mono, it got hooked on the bar and pulled it forward and tore his hamstring. Like it was a real, sad end to what was looking like a really good prep. And then he just got it in the last week of 2022. So shout out to Daniel for crushing that 400. It was sick.
That's unreal. But on that, like, because when I think, when I've watched equipped lifters, like, post this stuff on Instagram, like, how do you coach that? When you see someone, like you said, you can't even touch your elbows bend, the bar moves 3 centimeters. What does coaching equipped lifting look like?
Ideally, it's exactly the same as coaching raw lifting.
Mm-hmm.
Like there shouldn't be that much of a difference. We're still doing squat, bench, deadlift. So a lot of people say, is the technique different, or should the technique be different? Definitely not. It's exactly the same lift. And the technique that we use on raw, like I said, is fighting against what the suit wants to do. So it's exactly the same. I'd say it's more precise because you're using such super maximal loads. So like with a bench shirt, you'll hear people talking about, this particular shirt, like the Titan Super Katana, has a really small, they'll call it a groove or something like that, where if you don't hit that groove, you'll just die. You'll fail the lift really badly. And it's super true, but it's only true because you're not holding 180 kilos, you're holding 250 kilos. Like it's so much heavier than you're strong enough to do without the assistance of that thing. So there's definitely more volatility, but the technique's the same. And so the programming's not that different as well. It's just managing fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're lifting really heavy, like way heavier than you can without the assistance all the time, it drains you. So it's just like no different to wearing knee wraps.
Yeah. Because you accumulate so much fatigue just getting your knees wrapped, wrapping your own knees. And then, obviously the sessions get longer as well. They get a little bit more drawn out. So I couldn't imagine what it's like with equipped.
Well, so think about that. What do we do then with knee wraps, right? We start with a loose pair of knee wraps. We wrap them loosely. And then over the course of a couple of blocks, we get tighter and tighter, swap wraps. Same thing with equipped. Start with your old shitty equipment, like your training equipment. Go through the motions, do the volume. As you get closer, you add a layer, whether it's add knee wraps, add the straps up, add a tighter suit, whatever, and you build upon it slowly.
Okay.
The actual programming shouldn't be that much different in terms of volumes, intensities, all that sort of stuff. It's just relative to what you can do with that added assistance and managing fatigue because you're lifting more weight.
Yeah, right. You mentioned just before that technique shouldn't change at all. The biggest discrepancy I see in equipped lifting is the bench press.
Yeah.
Like you see people almost doing a front raise.
Yeah, but again, it's so hard to fight the suit, pulling your shoulders into that like hunchy sort of shruggy position.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see me do it. I can't keep my shoulders on when I bench.
Yeah.
It's real hard. And so it's just trying to do your absolute best.
Yeah, right. Because I can't remember her name. She's a lovely, sweet woman that competed at IPL Worlds, and she pretty much did
yes, equipped bench. Yeah. She's come and done a few comps here. Yeah.
Is it Nikki Burns, maybe?
Perhaps. Yeah. She competes with Maury.
Yeah. Shout out Nikki Burns. But some of those, I'm like, wow, she like touches really low, and it's almost a little bit front raisy.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just like a necessary evil to be able to touch.
Yeah.
And so this is the thing. Like even once you select the shirt. Or the suit, especially with benching though, and the shirts, there's so much more that you can then do to make them work way harder.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can scale within the same shirt. So think about it as like tightening a set of knee wraps tighter, but so much more. So you can like crank the sleeves of the shirt in a direction, which will torque the chest plate harder. You can do what's called jacking the shirt, where you like pull down. You've seen me do that, like really pull down on the collar of it and pull your pecs, your breasts up and out.
With cleavage.
Yeah, and like crank your belt on real tight to hold the shirt in place. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with the shirt itself then to make it work way harder. And so normally on like a first attempt, you won't do any of that, and the shirt will like ride up as you're coming down, and it'll make you drop it really low like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Because I remember even just same thing with like manipulating how to use knee wraps. When I first got into wraps in 2019 with you, because I was coming off like a fresh Achilles rupture. So I just, I found myself just believing that I couldn't drive my knees forward. So I used to sit back into my squats heaps. So I'd be really extended, like I'd be really arched up, getting fuck all forward knee travel because I wore heels as well. And then it was only until I wore wraps earlier this year, I was like, hang on, I know how to use these properly now. Well, because I can drive my knees forward now. And the more I drove my knees forward into them, the more I got out of the wraps.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely the hardest thing to wrap your head around with equipped is like when you're coming down in a bench raw, you're controlling the speed of it. Like you're doing that work and you can decide it. When you're doing it equipped, the shirt is doing that and you're kind of guiding the bar within the tension of the shirt. So you have to stay really tight, but you also have to kind of be kind of fluid, if that makes sense. Like people talk about pulling the bar down. You definitely don't pull the bar down. That's just dumb. But you can't completely relax either because you'll just relax everything and you'll just get squashed by it. So you're staying tight, but you're also at mercy to whatever the shirt decides to do, kind of just like steering this really ugly ship.
it's pretty fucking scary, eh?
Yeah, it's gross.
If you're not pulling the bar down, how do you touch?
The weight just like settles it in. Like the weight will force the suit to expand.
Gee.
I just think of someone like Andrew Cooper who's done no equipped lifting and then all of a sudden, with what, 3 or 4 weeks, benched 425.
Yeah. And that's a different thing altogether. So that unlimited equipment is very, very much like a cross between a shirt and a slingshot. It's so easy to use compared to a single ply bench shirt, which is extremely difficult to use.
So if you chucked on one of those shirts, how much, what do you reckon you could do on one of them?
Well, I did without any equipped training forever, and I did 260 on the first try.
I just can't believe...
Which is crazy because that's more than my equipped bench. My equipped bench PB is 250.
Yeah, fuck.
So those things are insane.
I just think it's nuts that Andrew Cooper added 125 kilos to his bench.
Freaky.
I just couldn't...
It's already 300 kilos.
So
Yeah.
I couldn't fathom, like, for me, I'm not a strong guy, so I couldn't fathom putting 400 kilos on my back for a squat, let alone putting 400 kilos on my hands, on my arms for a bench press. That's disgusting.
So disgusting. The crazy thing about this, and this is no exaggeration at all, he had one try in that shirt before he benched 425.
Oh God.
We did one session in the gym, and I think we did... it's on my Instagram or on his Instagram. I think it was like 360 or 380. Maybe. I don't even know if we went that heavy, but yeah, we did one session in the shirt.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
That guy.
Another level.
What does the future of equipped powerlifting look like in Australia?
So Lambros asked me this on my question and answer yesterday. And
Shout out Lambros, by the way. I love that guy.
Legend. Big supporter. Thank you.
Very strong as well.
Very strong. So thank you, Lambros. The future of equipped powerlifting in Australia. Look, I mean, there are a few more people that are popping up here and there, but I think it's always going to be pretty much the same as what it is now, just because of that barrier to entry. Like, it's really not cool. There's very, very, very few big players that are like, oh, that person does equipped. Like, back in the day, think of like Yuri Belkin. When Yuri Belkin was the talk of the town, he was also doing equipped stuff now and then, and he had done a lot of equipped stuff in the past. So when Raw started getting really big, we had a lot of big Raw lifters that were also still active in equipped. So Andrei Milanichev, Belayev, Pozdiv, all these guys that were like the superstars of powerlifting were still doing things like Battle of Champions. Odell came from an equipped background, people like that. So there was this big comp called Battle of Champions, which had massive prize money. It was all in Russia. Stuff like that doesn't really exist anymore. I think you've got the World Games, which is where Blaine Sumner went and competed. But even then, it's just not big anymore. So I think people will pop up here and there, so like people might watch me and go, oh, I want to try that. Or people might watch Colin Webb from Panthers Powerlifting in Brisbane, just went and did IPF Worlds equipped. People might see that and get inspired. Like there's a little equipped crew there that trains, but I don't think it'll get much bigger than that, to be honest.
Do you feel as though the equipped lifters as well, it's like this in anything, but like when you see the old school equipped lifters, on social media and things like that, do you feel like they gatekeep the sport a little bit?
Not really. What do you mean?
I feel like there's still some circles that are like, nah, this is powerlifting. Fuck that raw stuff. That's not powerlifting. Da, 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 da. You know, they kind of gatekeep the sport. I see it a lot, like, you know, with skateboarding in the Olympics.
Yeah.
There's people that don't like that it's getting commercialized. So I feel like raw powerlifting's kind of commercialized the sport a little bit. It's made the barrier to entry a little bit easier. It's made it more, I don't know, like consumable. Whereas what they're trying to do with skateboarding is they tried to make it a little bit more mainstream and try to show it's not just the rat bags that do it and things like that. So now it's an Olympic sport. It's a proper sport. And there's people, you know, it's the same thing. People try to gatekeep the sport and like, no, that's not skateboarding. It's hardcore. It's this. And I feel like equipped lifting is similar. Not that I've come across any of that, because everybody that I know that does equipped lifting, you Fonz and Colin Webb, and Shira, all very normal dudes, normal nice guys. But yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying for sure. And I mean, it's the same in BMX. Like BMX is now in the Olympics as well. And there's definitely people that are like, no, keep it on the streets. And I would agree with you for powerlifting, but in general, like there's people... and I think I get a little bit biased in this view just because the gyms, like there's powerlifting gyms that are like, no, we're proud of being in a hot shed and we don't really clean it and we have no equipment and sort of stuff like that. It's like, you can have like the inspiration of where we've come from, which is like, you know, a real love of strength sports and a real love of a small culture and community, and have nice things. Like there's nothing wrong with having both. I'd say the people that are doing that for equipped are just losers.
Yeah.
Like as in the old man yells at cloud kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like very disconnected. No, but it's true. There are a lot of people that are like very resistant to the direction the sport is taking because they're attached to, like you say, just those old ideals. Like a lot of people don't like all these young people getting into the sport and making it cool, but what do you think's driving the growth? It's all those kids that are idolizing the Russell Orhis and buying the A7 this and the SBD that and the notorious stink slippers or whatever they are, you know? Like they're the people that are making us have jobs.
Well, that's what I always think about when because you still hear it with people with the Zero. Zero's now over 10 years old, and you hear people say, I miss the old Zero. I'm like, what? The one with 12 people? Like there were 4 people here. Yeah. What do you mean you miss? Like, what do you miss about that? Like, too many young people. I'm not like, this is not in particular, but you know, along those lines. And it's like, man, these are, like you said, these are the people that are driving the sport. These are people that are driving the growth of Zero. They're putting numbers on the board. That's why we've got so many people competing in powerlifting now. Even when I first started powerlifting, only in 2017 or 2018 or whatever, I didn't know any powerlifters on the Gold Coast. Obviously, I wasn't in the circle, but it was unheard of.
Yeah.
And now everyone knows what powerlifting is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can go around, well, what do you do? Powerlifting. Oh, they know straight away. Well, some will be like, oh, is that the one where you go?
That's mostly the one I get.
Yeah, that's cool. But like people know what powerlifting is now.
Yeah. It's wild. There's commercial gyms that have deadlift bars.
It's bigger.
That's insane.
It's bigger than weightlifting. Weightlifting's a dying sport in Australia. Weightlifting's a dying sport worldwide.
Got kicked out of Olympics, you said. Is it still in the Olympics?
Nah. So I'm pretty sure America can choose.
Such a shame.
America can choose if they want it in the Olympics when they host it.
Well, I mean, it's a shame in the sense that it was good to watch, but it would have been It would have been so sucky to be a professional weightlifter in a country that does adequate drug testing.
Yeah.
Because you're up against all the people that don't.
Yeah. On that, Liu Jiajin, arguably one of the greatest weightlifters in history.
Yes.
Just got tested positive for EPO.
Nice.
So that's
I shouldn't say nice.
Nice.
No, but can you guys name another sport where all the legends of the sport have been tested positive?
Cycling.
Besides cycling. It's ironic that cycling is
Cycling, everyone except for Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
You know he was never actually caught.
Yeah, it was just whistleblowers that kind of made him come out and say he was guilty.
Yep.
He was a real piece of shit, eh? Everyone go look at that up, the story about Lance Armstrong. There's documentaries on it and everything.
Yeah, watch Icarus. Icarus is a great documentary on how drug testing works, what happened in cycling, and it's just got a wicked twist. Like it's a great film.
It's called Icarus.
Icarus, yeah.
That's just what I was saying before. Like in weightlifting, all the legends of the sport have been popped.
Oh, really?
Every single one of them. Do you know what I mean? Like Ilya Ilyin, he's been popped. 3-time gold. He's one of the greats of the sport. Dmitry Klokov, he's been popped. Liu Jiajin, Toma. Who else?
Man, I love that Dmitry Klokov still made such a huge career out of weightlifting and like really utilized social media and YouTube and like
CrossFit.
just getting attention. CrossFit, absolutely. Despite everything that went down,
He learned English so he could do seminars.
like that's wild.
That's so cool. He was the first guy that, because I know a lot of old school weightlifters, they were the same thing. They were they were gatekeeping their sport and they hated that CrossFitters did it. And then Dmitry Klokov, he embraced it, went around, did all these seminars, and he kind of like, I don't want to say he's the one that put weightlifting on the map, but he plays a very big role in introducing weightlifting to the masses.
And like, I mean, it's easy to sit back and go like, oh, okay, well, the guy was a cheater, which inherently makes him a bad person. Watch Icarus, and it might change your perception on that, because I dare say there was probably, once you got to that talent level, there probably wasn't much of a choice. Like it was in places like Russia, it's genuinely like, keep doing what you're doing and putting Russia on the map or get killed by the KGB kind of thing. He was probably in some pretty... it would be incredible to know what actually happened behind the scenes of everything like that.
Well, Lasher, the greatest weightlifter of all time, who competes currently, he tested positive when he was like 17, 16 or 17. And then Toma, who's arguably the greatest female weightlifter of all time, she tested positive when she was really young as well. So these guys are all starting performance-enhancing drugs at the age of like 14.
Yeah. This is maybe a controversial thing to say, but like, one thing that's quite unique about powerlifting is that we do have tested and untested divisions. So it allows people to explore the possibilities of what they can do on performance-enhancing drugs without fear or without moral implications, basically. Without being like, I'm breaking the rules. Because they're not breaking the rules. They can do whatever they want. It's their body, their choice. Go for it. It would be really interesting to see that in something like weightlifting. To see like what the limits are of human performance with performance-enhancing drugs. Because like, think of people like that, if they weren't having to stay under the shadows, what they could do and how far they could push, and people like Pat Mendez and like all these superstars that, couldn't compete legitimately because they didn't have the option, and they either felt the need to cheat or they had to cheat, in inverted commas. Like, it'd be really, it's an interesting thought experiment. Like, because there are people that'll be sensitive to all those comments. Remove the morals from the situation. Like, you might hate the idea of performance-enhancing drugs and sport and all that sort of stuff. Remove all of that and look at it like objectively. It's an interesting thought experiment.
So everyone go look this up, but there's lots of conspiracy theories about how Liu Jiajin tested positive, because he tested positive in China. So in his home country, you'll never hear of a Russian getting tested positive in their own country. You'll never hear of a Chinese person getting tested in their own country. So it was somebody from WADA. And what I've heard, I've seen in like conspiracy videos, normally if someone's flying to China and they say they work for WADA, like on their visa, they don't grant them entry into their country. They're like, no, you're not testing our athletes.
It's an inside job.
Yeah, so it's like a state-sponsored thing. But what they reckon happened was this guy... you could look up, Zach Tallender does some good videos on things like this, but there's lots of conspiracies out there about this. They reckon they flew someone in months beforehand, and he was on a different kind of visa, so he didn't work for WADA.
They smuggled him in.
Yeah. How crazy is that?
So he did work for WADA, but he was
undercover WADA.
Undercover.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's fucked to think. Hopefully, like, is that guy still alive? I don't know. It's pretty fucking messed up.
Especially in China.
Yeah. Like
any of those communist countries.
Yeah, it's like they have state-sponsored doping programs. You know, China, Russia, places like that. They've got state-sponsored doping programs for these athletes. So I think it's fucking... For me, it's like... If you like going down... I don't know. I'm a huge fan of niche sport. Every sport. So for me, this is like huge.
Yeah. Yeah, well, good to know that you could do that for the last 3 days and not work on the podcast. What's next?
I just want to go through. I've been thinking there's been lots of trends. Obviously, you guys all see the trends on Instagram.
Yeah.
There's things that are always popping off that's new. What's flavor of the month in lifting? I've just got a few trends at the moment. I've got a little list here, and you guys can rate them. So the first trend that's popping off is Inza sleeves. Would you say it's a trend, or is that just like a...
Nah, it's a trend.
Yeah?
When that started, everyone was buying them and walking like a penguin, thinking they were the tightest.
I haven't tried them yet, but I want to.
They're like
I'm
knee
tempted
wraps.
to buy some, apparently.
I love this combo, like this Instagram combo, right? So, young, modern lifter, training with hyper frequency, hyper specificity, just squat, bench, deadlift 1 million times a week, very few accessories, not very muscular, getting strong too fast, plateaus for a year. Adds a 17th squat session to the week, buys a set of ends and knee sleeves, changes coaches, waits a year, goes, thank you to my 17th squat session and my new coach. I added 1.5 kilos to my max squat. It's like, bro, you bought ends and knee sleeves. But that's the trend. That's the real trend.
You're forgetting, as lightweight lifters, they can tolerate a lot more volume.
Yes. Yes, of course. Sorry.
That's what they all say as well. As a lightweight lifter, I'm like, pretty sure you shouldn't be squatting 79 times this week, but it's up to you. Wondering why you're burnt out come week 4.
Yeah, doing SBD days several days a week.
2 a days.
Well, I mean, lots of these things in isolation are fine. SBD day, fine. Frequency, fine. It's when you combine a lot of them is when it starts to get hairy. But anyway.
Zercher squats. I've seen a lot of people doing Zercher squats at the moment.
Oh, I think this is where it gets interesting on social media because every exercise has value, a time and a place, if you can find justification for it. So if we go like Zercher squats for powerlifting, I'd say maybe reassess how valuable this thing is to you. Zercher split squat, Zercher lunge of some variation, different story, but like a Zercher squat for the purpose of improving powerlifting, I think there are better options. Because that's all exercise selection comes down to. It's not like, does this thing work or does it not work? Everything works. Is there a better option to achieve what you're trying to achieve? What do you think? Just to finish that off, what I'm getting at is that you'll see a lot of people doing it on like Instagram, but maybe the reason why they're doing it is like athletic performance versus for powerlifting. And then you'll look at that and be like, oh, this person involved in athletic performance that I really like is harping on about Zercher squats. Maybe I should do Zercher squats, but you do powerlifting, not athletic performance. So
yeah, 100%. I do I think it's do I rate them? Yeah, I rate them. I think they're cool. Have I ever programmed them? No, but I tried them just recently because same thing. I saw it popping off on Instagram. I was like, I want to try that. And then it hurt my arm, so I never did it again.
Is that the ones where you pick it up and then put it under? You kind of like deadlift it and then have to...
Yeah. I think they're cool. I think it's cool. It's like comes from that bronze era of lifting. So it's like one of the OG lifts.
Have you seen some of the guys that like swing it around onto their shoulders and then get it on their back and do a squat?
Yeah. And they spin the barbell around on their back. Have you seen that? There's people
they'll like
doing
lift it up, put it on
wild.
their shoulder like that, and then like swing it around and then do a back squat with it.
Well, that's how they used to squat back in the day. There was no racks. So in the bronze era, that's how they'd squat.
Seriously?
That's wild.
Yeah, they'd have to pick it up off. They'd put it on its
edge.
Yeah.
Stand it up on the side and then put it behind their back.
Wow.
Could you imagine if we had to do that? This would save you so much money on Lico.
And monos.
Next one is front squats.
Front squats was never on the list. You just chucked that in.
No, he
Is
said
that a
it.
trend?
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
They're popping right now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Have they ever stopped popping?
Maybe I'm just in my own echo chamber and I'm seeing them pop off right now.
Again, I don't know. I think it comes down to purpose. Like, I think front squats are a really great exercise. I say very rarely, I never program them for powerlifting. I would only program it for powerlifting if someone specifically requested it. And again, it's not because I think that they're not valuable and not valuable for powerlifting. I think I have better options within the system that I use.
Me, I love them. With some of my guys, I exclusively use front squats. But the guys I use them with, they aren't powerlifters. So for someone like one of my footy players, Ace, he just can't get into a good position at all with back squats.
No, so do front squats.
And we work together in the off season. I don't have, well, I guess I do have time to teach him technique, but we got bigger fish to fry. We're trying to get stronger in the off season. If he can get stronger doing a front squat, and if he can get in a way better position doing a front squat, do a front squat. That's what we've been doing.
And it's the end purpose. What does he need out of training here? Strong legs, so he can play rugby better.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to do that with a barbell back squat? You don't.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then my other guy, one of my other kids, Geordie, he trains with me twice a week. He just isn't a very good back squatter. Put him in a front squat, he looks like he's got the best squat on earth.
Yeah,
like, cool.
he does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
His
it's insane.
front squat looks unreal. And then you put him in put a barbell on his back, everything just folds, like his pelvis tucks under, his back rounds. I'm like, how can I mitigate this? Chuck a barbell on his front. He has to keep his upper back tight. He has to keep his chest up. He can focus on holding his hips a lot easier because he's not thinking about it as much.
Exactly.
Is that good to program for someone who sort of good mornings their squat? Nah.
From a experience with seeing people practice front squats, those kind of guys just do the exact same thing in a front squat, and then it's way worse, and their wrists start hurting and their upper back rounds, and then by the time they've stood up with it, it's just all on their wrists and their arms, and they're like, yeah, they don't like front squatting.
Nah, you got to reverse engineer it. You got to be like, is the reason they're doing this good morning action in their squat because they don't do front squats?
Yeah.
And if everyone else cannot do that good morning action and they don't do front squats, are front squats the answer to that? There's probably something else we can find.
Yeah.
For me, I've been doing front squats purely because back squats hurt my arms.
And you just like using bumpers and looking tough.
It looks sick.
Yeah.
Do you use the weightlifting bar when you do it?
Nah, because I don't like scratching up the weightlifting bar.
What do you mean scratching it up? No one uses it.
Yeah, but the day I decide to do snatches with it, it's
you
gonna
want
be
it fresh.
Yeah.
I see.
And then I did put it on a rack one time, and Rado told me off.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And then now I've seen it. I've noticed. Whenever you see, I always just thought they had shitty squat racks.
As in, like, don't put them on the upright racks because it ruins the knurling where you put your hands for snatches.
Yeah. And you'll notice, like, at weightlifting gyms, they got cloth on the racks. Yeah, so
Wow.
I just use the Eleiko now. Another thing that's trending at the moment, I might just be in my own echo chamber, but plyometric training.
No, it's definitely becoming cool again. I mean, plyometric training is great. And the same thing, like if you're thinking plyometrics for powerlifting, forget it. Doesn't make any sense. Like on the scale of slow to fast, people think powerlifting is a fast sport. It's a very slow sport. Very, very, very slow sport. Not super slow, but definitely not fast. And plyos are fast things.
It should be called strength lifting.
Yeah.
Powerlifting is the worst name for it.
Yeah, because exactly for power development, plyometrics is great. So yeah, I think they're great for sports performance, athletic development. I think they're great for pretty much like if we were training people for general health, I'd have some sort of plyo stuff in there all the time. I think they're fantastic.
Something that's trending right now: hybrid training.
What is that?
Yeah, good question. So
it's in the dictionary next to a waste of time.
A waste of time.
As long as you're enjoying it, is it wasted time though?
Yeah, Thomas. Yeah.
Thomas, bro.
Yes.
Still. Oh, man.
I think it's just weird. I think I've said this on the podcast before, but I find it really odd how everyone's like saying they're a hybrid athlete now when they're just doing bodybuilding and a little bit of running. I'm like, bro, CrossFit. You guys have been laughing at CrossFitters for the last 10 years for this.
Yeah.
They're the ultimate hybrid athlete.
Yes. Yeah.
A rugby player is a hybrid athlete.
Mm.
Like, don't you find it how fucking weird that we lift weights 4 times a week to, get stronger or to get more muscular, in which I haven't for the last 10 years. And we can't go for a run because I'm going to lose all my gains. It's like, imagine being
it's like people get fit enough to do like regular things again. They're like, oh, I'm on that athletic scale. It's like, no, you've just gone from being a piece of shit to less of a piece of shit.
That's literally me. So I looked at, this is really embarrassing. So I looked at when I was 12 years old for my 1200 meter time. So when I was 12, my 1.2K time was 4:06. And now when I run, do my speed work at 4 minutes per K, I'm like, fuck, I'm an athlete. I'm like, I was doing that fucking over 15 years ago.
Oh,
A
really?
little bit different though.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's funny. It's like you just get to a normal standard of fucking health, I guess you could call it.
Yep. It kind of it's. This is getting a little bit weird and eclectic, but it kind of highlights how useless we've become, like how useless the human animal has become from where we came from, like having to hunt and gather and build things and forage and chase animals and run all day, to being like, oh, I've got to walk upstairs to get the office, and maybe I'll just work downstairs today.
When I first started training at PTC, no shit. This is when I started getting fucking a little bit overweight too. I'd eat a whole bag of lollies before training because I thought I needed it.
Need the sugar.
Yeah, I was like, I need the carbs. I got bench press today. Do my 3 sets of bench, and I'm like, that'll do me, boys. I'm done.
Glad I had my bag of lollies.
I needed those carbs.
Yeah.
You're fueled up.
All
right.
One more thing that's trending.
Mm.
This is a look that's trending. Russell Orhe patented. Patterned this look.
Made it popular.
Yeah, the short shorts, the short basketball shorts, the wife pleaser singlet, and the Jordan 1s. This is a very popular look right now.
I mean, really, it's just like the most popular look of 30 years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Just missing some fluoro colors.
Because we've got a few people in here that run that look.
Yeah.
You guys feeling it or not?
I don't know I don't know. There's always like a few things that he does that like one guy in the gym will start to do. Like when Anaru was training in, he'd bite his dog tags.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then, you know, someone else would dress like him. But I don't think it's a trend that like we're all...
Why did he have dog tags in the first place?
Anaru?
Yeah.
He was in the army.
Was he really?
No.
Or they're the ones you get from like Mr. Minute.
Bro, I used to wear... So I used to wear dog tags because it came with a pair of And One basketball shoes when I was younger.
Well, they were when growing up. They were super cool when I was like 10. So I didn't have them, but my brother had them, and all of his friends had them. They thought they were the coolest things ever.
Wearing dog tags.
I remember on a flight home from Australia, when I was on holiday, I lost my dog tags on the plane, and so we stayed behind, made all the hostesses look for my
your dog tags.
And they're like, oh, what kind of dog? Like, and they were all talking about how like they were really important to me, and they're like, oh, what kind are they? I'm like, it says And One on it, and they're like, oh, so it doesn't have your name or anything, and I'm like, nah,
I'm not in the military.
yeah, it just came with my shoes. And they looked so gutted when I told them that, and they're like, well, we'll grab your details, we'll call you if we find them.
Did you find them?
Nah,
Oh no,
spewing.
someone stole them.
Yeah, but that's I think that's us.
Sick. All right. Catch us next time. Love you. Give us 5 stars, all that stuff.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the ZeroW Podcast. If you want more information, head to our Instagram, ZeroW_weakness. Hit the link in the bio for all of our services and any information on upcoming workshops and events. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review so we can have a broader reach and answer more people's questions. Thank you once more.